I've been a TDX player since release back in November 23. I've witnessed the rises, the falls, and everything in between. And so far, I can say that this game is weird. On one hand, you got a really unique and interesting gameplay and setting, with mechanics like tower death, multiple paths, and resistances fueling the game even further. However, then you have stuff like the coded warship and other development decisions that are questionable at best, and a reason to start a French Revolution at first. And it's heartbreaking to me, because this game has insane potential, but it just feels like a social experiment at this point. But what do I mean by it? Firstly, the theme. Majority of Roblox tower defenses follows the standard zombies invaded the world and now we need to fight back plot. However, TDX is different. Instead of boring zombies, we got a full-scale war going on between the Global Defense Army, a highly militaristic organization with bases all across the world, and Dr. Xenon's army, who employs zombies but also robots and everything in between. But that's not all, because there are also other things, like factions, Dr. Bowery, etc. Even the main lobby is a GTA base located somewhere in the mountains, as opposed to say TDS is boring as generic lobby. All of this makes a really unique storytelling and theming of the game. Then we have the game modes, or more specifically, how each game mode feels unique. In TTS, also different game modes also exist, they all feel kinda similar, and the same strategy with maybe slight changes work on all of them. However, in TDX, thanks to resistances, more unique enemies and different economies, a strategy that works for elite mode for the example, will probably fail in both intermediate and expert. All bosses also feel at least a bit unique, primarily thanks to tower death mechanic, and even the weakest ones have something to offer. Besides Measure 9X, fuck that guy. Naval towers are also great at making the game more unique from its competitors, although this mechanic is heavily unutilized, and every naval tower suffers from issues. Lastly, events, while differing in quality, especially lately, are generally quite fun overall, and are quite unique to each other. Chapter 3 Halloween 24, for example, is one of my favorite events of all time, and succeeded in when TTS failed, Defend the Circle. As you can see, there is a lot to like about Tower Defense X, and this game clearly has insane potential. Unfortunately, now we have to talk about. Going back to the events, as I already stated, their quality has been questionable as of late. In fact, this can be said for the game in general. It feels like John walked off after the Nightmare update. Most updates since then ranged from mediocre to... Speaking of events again, they have a thing called Battle Pass. It takes quite a while to get, but it's kinda manageable. When it was first introduced in Tower Battles Part 1 co-op, however, completing it was an absolute nightmare. It took extremely long, and you needed a team. But now, you can just do Halloween Chapter 2 over and over again for a decent and branded token income. And so John introduced Event Shop, and since it was supposed to reduce grind by taking rewards from the Battle Pass and placing them into the shop, which requires specific currency obtained from event game modes. Unfortunately, the Battle Pass still has event stuff, and it is walked quite far in the Battle Pass. In other words, you still need to grind the Battle Pass almost fully if you want all the rewards from the event. On top of that, however, there is a chance that you will not have enough special currency to buy at the event shop, meaning that you will be forced to grind even longer on top of the Battle Pass. Gracias, John. I'm clearly enjoying no more grinding through tears. But that's not all, only the beginning in fact. Another issue this game has is the towers. TDX has a 2-pass tower system on the majority of towers, excluding almost all event towers. Well, the problem is that the recent 3 Evergreen towers were released with only 1 pass, and John attempted to justify that by saying that most tower defenses only have 1 pass towers. Excuse me, but isn't the 2-pass system one of the selling points of Tower Defense X? Because of that, the towers feel unfinished, especially compared to other towers. Back to TDX towers, there is a big problem with niche overlap. I mean, this game has a lot of towers, even more than TDS, and especially with 2-pass system, you would expect some towers to overlap, but in this game every second tower has at least another tower that has the same purpose. Here are some examples: NoobTuber, Topaz Grenadier, and Mesa Trooper are all early to mid-game explosive towers. Operator and Ghost are both all-around mid-game DPS options, and Golden Ranger with Laser Gunner are just a more advanced operator/ghost. Hell, there are 3 event towers that are all a bait tower with next to no differences between each other. They are the same fucking thing. I am pretty sure you can find many more examples, but these are the biggest ones. TTS also has slight issues with niche overlap, but nowhere near to this extent. John is clearly running out of ideas for towers. Then there is an easy mode that does not utilize a tower death mechanic, showcased in the tutorial. A great way to lose new players as they find the game mode uninteresting. There is also an Ultra Nightmare. Honest, with this game mode sucks ass. The only good part is a ginger dread wave, another mechanic that is clearly undercooked are quests. In a nutshell, there is no reason to do them unless your grinding strategy has towers that overlap with the quests. Why? They give a very underwhelming amount of resources and basically a non-existent amount of crystals. So you are better off just using your grind strategy. They clearly need a buff. There were also nightmare skins that were an insane FOMO and should have never existed. So it's not the worst FOMO in the game. Lastly we have Ronald, and honestly, fuck Ronald. His conversion rate is a joke. As you can see, the DDX has multiple serious issues that need addressing. But there is another side of TDX, the ugly side. Golden Worship. This is easily the worst decision John has ever made. And yes, it is John's fault that this thing exists as a tower and not a skin or something, as confirmed by other developers who tried to prevent John from committing this decision, which unfortunately failed. There is no good reason for these towers to be in the game. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. Let me summarize why. This tower creates balancing problems in the future. It directly hurts normal worship, as any balancing directed against golden worship will likely impact normal worship due to how similar these towers are. Promotes aggressive FOMO for those who did not have over 8,000 Robux or had an unhealthy amount of time in the game. Makes PvP potential pay to win if the game mode gives a lot of money late game. Does not fit into the game whatsoever, and overall tarnishes the game's reputation. And before you say that this tower is a joke tower, and this is the reason why it's so expensive, this tower does not feel like a joke at all. Here is some stuff this thing can do. That's absurd. This is the tower that made many people either quit the game or play way less. This is the tower that made people go insane on John and others. This is the tower that made me make this video. It is truly a mistake. Now, why am I including the golden worship into the ugly and not the bad? Well, the reason is the impact of the golden worship on stakeholders of TDX, including players and even John himself. As you all know, it divided the player base into 2 sides, those who bought the golden worship and those who didn't, or 99% of players. A latter side started a riot which included quitting TDX and prayed for its downfall, making videos against it, etc. It was not a good time to be a TDX fan, and now we reach the fun part, the reaction of developers and John to the backlash. You would expect them to understand the players, but some of them straight up started making fun of them in Discord, posting pictures of bot golden worship and tried to justify John's decisions with bottom of the barrel excuses. Like, what kind of damage control is this? Then John posted a statement on the drama days later, where he talked about how the community personnel attacked Rocco Engineering, John and even his dog for whatever reason. I of course do not support this, but what really threw people off here is how he stated that Golden Worship's release was teased years ago on a livestream. First of all, this livestream was years ago, meaning probably no one knew about it. Second of all, if people even knew about the livestream before the Golden Worship's release, it was very likely that they would not have taken it seriously due to the nature of the tower. So yeah, an overall bad Golden Worship defense that justified nothing. What happened next just makes it even worse. John did not say anything else on the Golden Worship, did not undo his mistakes, made the tower actually limited time, creating insane pay to win FOMO, actually buffed Golden Worship for some reason, and fixed donation bot. Yay. Oh, and by the way, here is a proof that developers are rage baiters. Just look at the username. Golden Worship Enjoyer? Like, come on. Overall, I just cannot love TDX after this incident, combined with other issues this game has that are not addressed yet. Knowing damn well I will never get every tower in the game, and those who did will forever flex on those who did not is just depressing. John did say that the tower will retool somehow, but I just can't trust him anymore. This game feels like a rage bait. Remember the 3 towers that did not have a second pass? I assume the real reason is that all the effort went into the Golden Worship, because it's just so fucking detailed. And almost no one even got to use it. Cool. The game was finally recovering after the Lunar New Year update, and then John just nuked everything. I tried to love Tower Defense X, but couldn't.